what the Facebook thing, darling?
Got it. Maybe it's
Yeah.
happening. I think it's happening. We'll see.
Yeah.
So no, Emma's in charge of that. So thank you everyone for coming to the talk today. We have invited Janie and Phil and Super Scarlett Beagle to tell us about the story of this heroine. We thank you sorry to the ones that log in at 6 p.m. There was a little mistake, but we are starting at 7 p.m. and hopefully live in Camp Beagle, also on Facebook Camp Beagle. So I think I'll give the place to you. At the everyone seems no, I'm gonna unmute everyone if that's okay with you.
Okay.
Oh, it's amazing.
He's a meerkat. We've got meerkats. Hey, meerkat! Yay! Oh, look, it's a big.
That's it. Okay, I've mute everyone. It's so you have to unmute yourself, Janie.
She can't hear you.
She can hear me, yes.
Oh, she can.
We can hear you.
We're back.
Excellent. So if you want to start telling us the story of Scarlett, we are here to listen.
Yes, of course.
Look ahead. Oh, look.
She's doing the meerkat.
Yeah.
Darling. Now, here she goes, meerkat. Woo! Good girl. So,
Oh.
as most of you know, Scarlett is an MBR Beagle, but from the huge New York facility. So she started life in that gross place. It's absolutely huge place. Was flown to Hungary, and she was at a particular toxicology laboratory. And we all know about toxicology. That's the main sort of reason they're used, is to decipher the toxic load of something. Then the chemical or the medicine will go on to the market, and 95% of the time get withdrawn anyway. So it's toxic to us at the end of the day. But Scarlett was a very, very rare case of she got out of there thanks to Beagle Freedom Project. So Shannon actually worked very, very hard. It took her about a year to get Scarlett and her 6 brothers and sisters out of the Hungarian lab. It wasn't easy. Obviously, I don't know the details, but, you know, she had to fight to get 7 beagles out. So that's the start of Scarlett's story. And she was timid. She was...
How old was she, you think, when she come out?
Well, she was about 2. But we've recently been talking to an amazing guy. Do you want to say about Michael Taylor?
Yeah, so when the Beagles were released, all of they were flown to the UK by Beagle Freedom Project. They were all given pet passports. They all had the same date of birth, around about November 2014. So we thought, based on the passport, not that you could rely on it, you know, she was 2 years old when we got her. When we took her to the vet for her first checkup, and here's the thing, we'll talk about this, choose your vet very, very carefully. especially with an ex-lab beagle. The vet said, based on the condition of her teeth, she may be older, but we've since found out from this amazing guy, Michael, who's done a lot of work on decoding what the tattoos mean in their ears. He said, actually, condition of teeth is a very bad indicator of age, and he's done quite a bit of work to decipher the codes of the tattoos. And he said, no, Scarlett was actually born in round about February 2015. So we've just agreed, until we can pin it down further, for now, Scarlett's got 2 birthdays, the birthday and her passport, and we've given her Valentine's Day as a second birthday, so she gets double birthday treats. And she's been with us, almost 7 years now. But as Janie said, she was so timid. She was so small, so thin, no muscle mass. Didn't know how to drink from a bowl properly, didn't know how to socialize. She had to learn how to be a dog again.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have any skills to deal with other dogs, human love and affection. I mean, Scarlett, we're very lucky because she actually likes cuddles and kisses, and she responds. But when we first got her, she just quietly sat alone on a soft dog bed, and we just let her take her time. That's what you have to do, because they've got PTSD, they've got phobias, for instance, metal bowls clunking about on the floor. You should give them a bowl with a rubber base, because all the familiar metallic sounds of a lab that we don't think about, like pots and pans, to them it's a trauma.
If we've all seen the horrible undercover footage that's the inside of the likes of MBR Acres and all the breeding facilities. That is nothing compared to the horror of what then goes on in the laboratories, not just the experiments, which are pretty gruesome and scientifically unnecessary in themselves, but the conditions they're kept in, the way they're thrown about and maybe punched and kicked and physically abused and not given any love or contact. And then you've got all this noise, the lab equipment, the smells, the equipment that's used to test on them. It's just absolutely horrific. So it's not surprised that a lot of them come out with PTSD, with some psychological trauma. And one of the things that lab beagles can suffer from as a result is what we call night terrors, flashbacks in their sleep to these awful things that happen to them in the labs.
Horrible. Yeah. I mean,
So
John,
what happened in the night? Sylvia's sleeping, and then she just
They wake up with nightmares. And
what happened, I mean, luckily it happened once with Scarlett.
we had a very specific approach with Scarlett to try and prevent the night terrors and keep them under control. So we had very few, I can count them on the finger of one hand. But what we did, because she's a beagle, we gave her the most natural life we could as a beagle. We lived next to a forest, lots of foxy smells, lots of deers. Put her on a long line, let her off lead for a while, let her chase.
Yeah, but no, what happens, Solly, is it's horrible. I've seen videos of them. What it is they're asleep, and then they'll wake up and start screaming and panicking and shaking and it's absolutely horrible. You're like, oh my God, are they in pain? What's happened? And they're sort of, they're dreaming, but they're having like a flashback of something. It's really bad. I mean, they'll scream, they'll shake, and they it's just horrible. It's like a convulsion, like a it's really horrible.
You have to be so patient. It's like any rescue animal. When you take on a rescue, the challenge with taking on an ex-laboratory beagle is you don't know exactly what was done to them in terms of these awful procedures. They'll all have been through.
Yeah,
So, but you can usually tell from their phobias and fears some of their experiences. So we know
yeah. I
stuff.
was gonna ask you, tell us this bit about the Beagle Freedom Project. In order to get the beagles out, kind of have to sign lots of confidentiality clauses with the labs. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's a
No.
blind.
Yeah,
It's a blind adoption. So part of the condition in which these dogs will ever come out of the lab is nothing is ever revealed about where they came from specifically, what was done to them. It's all confidential, it's never disclosed. You can start to piece together what may have happened, as we've done with Scarlett. But
Yeah.
otherwise, on situations where this information has been leaked out, when the labs find out, then they'll stop all releases at all. So you won't get any beagles out of the lab. So it's a blind adoption. You do not know.
So what do you think Scarlett was used for? What have you been able to piece together from her behavior and things?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she does have a cough, which, believe it or not, if we stopped giving her homeopathic medicine, she'd start coughing again. So most people, don't see her coughing. It's one of those conditions that the X-ray of her chest showed that there was you'll probably know what this means, Solly, bronchial diffuse. So it's like a furriness on the X-ray around her bronchi. And but that's damage from tube and chemicals and things going into her. So we can safely say she had the gavage done. And the cough can't
the gavage, for those that don't know, is when they actually put a tube through the dog's mouth to give them medication, chemicals, whatever is it that they're testing. That's a common way of giving them testing doses to dogs, by putting a tube that should go into the stomach, but quite easily could be put into the bronchioles. The trachea and the bronchioles.
Yeah. So I mean, homeopathic medicine wherever possible. We were going to say as well that because of the potential toxic load that these dogs have been through, try not to over vaccinate them. We haven't had a vaccination in years. You don't want to add to the toxic load. Homeopathic if possible. But that was another thing, wasn't it?
If you can get a really good vet that has an appreciation of what these dogs have been through. Because sometimes, just very occasionally, Scarlett has to go into the vet. She needed X-rays last year. Janie went into the room with Scarlett for them to administer the anesthetic. Normally they would never do that, but the particular vet that we use is very empathetic and understands Scarlett's position, and they were ever so good with us, and that makes a big difference, having a vet you can really trust and will respect your dog.
Yeah, it really does help.
Yeah, and I imagine maybe the same with antibiotics, because we know for sure that they get given antibiotics quite regularly because they live in filthy conditions and in big groups. So it probably lowers their immune system also, having had all those antibiotics previously.
Yeah, possibly. Good point. We'll never know. I mean, we did have a blood test quite quickly at the vets. And I mean, I don't know how it works. I think some things the dog can pass through, maybe pee out or whatever. And over time they can clean the blood. But Scarlett was luckily okay.
Her organs were intact. No
It's
lap
just
shift. No.
her
Yeah.
her little chest. And of course, what happened to her cruciate ligaments? I mean, I know it's quite a common thing, but you've got to remember that the lab dogs are in a cage. They don't build muscle.
Mm.
They don't have the social skills that normal puppies have. They, you know, and they're not deformed, but they're weak, very weak.
The thing is, though, beagles make wonderful pets.
Oh yeah.
A rescue beagle is a gift, and Scarlett has been a complete and total joy. We've done a lot to obviously give her the best life of a beagle, and that's how we've combated night terrors, by making sure that from the moment we got her days and
Were
weeks
full.
were absolutely packed full of beagle stuff, so she was going to bed with happy memories of chasing the foxes and the deer. That's how but the rewards are just wonderful if you are able to adopt an ex-laboratory beagle. You just got to be kind and patient and get the best vet you can, give them the most natural life you can, avoid as much mainstream vaccinations as you can. We will always go down the homeopathic route as much as we can with Scarlett. Just do the very best you can for them, and it's worth it.
I'm just thinking now that we had a talk last year. It was actually by a woman from Italy that was involved in the rescue of the beagles from MBR. So they hadn't been yet to a laboratory, but they managed to rescue a large number because they closed down the breeding site. And she said that they also learned that those dogs were coming out with health problems, and they overall die younger than a normal dog would have. Partly also because they're inbred. They go like MBR is called like a trademark, so they have to be constantly breeding off each other, inbreeding. That this gives genetic problems in the heart and other conditions.
I mean, so far so good, you know. We think Scarlett's strong. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. But yeah, you're right, Sully. I mean, they don't have a good start. They're given the cheapest shit food to keep them alive. So yeah, health problems definitely.
But a very rewarding dog to rescue, because you know
my gosh.
Absolutely.
Rescuing them from the worst of nightmares that you can imagine.
I mean, the love we get back from Scarlett, the kisses. She loves being cuddled. She wants to make us happy. She's such an angel, isn't she?
We have met her many times. She's come to camp, and she is beautiful. And adorable.
Yeah.
And you see, John knows all about the compliance thing. So they've got this. I mean, you can see her at home now, where she's, you know, in her domain where she loves to be. But relaxed, you know, she'll do a meerkat if she feels like it. She'll kiss Daddy's head, you know. But John was saying that she freezes. You know, Scarlett's prone to the freeze, which
they all are.
Yeah.
Strangely. If anyone ever watches the trolley footage of us when they're taking the dogs out of the trolley, the dogs will be sort of wagging their tails a little bit, and maybe they'll have their paws on the cage. As soon as they're touched, total freeze.
Yeah.
What Beagle Freedom?
And it's not necessarily through being beaten. People think immediately those dogs are scared of getting hit. It's much more. It's deeper than that, isn't it?
Well, they are.
It's a mental thing. They're trained to keep still or you're gonna hurt. You do as you're told, you keep still or it will hurt. So I think they sort of got that training that I must comply and I must be still. Horrific. Absolutely horrific.
Scarlett's been out of the lab 7 years now, and I don't think, at least I hope, that she doesn't feel any anxiety, but because she was trained to be compliant at such an early age, it's with her for life. You put her harness on to go for a walk, she will literally freeze. She just crouches down and freezes. She doesn't move. Her heart isn't racing, or she's not drooling or anything. There's no obvious signs of distress, other than the fact that she's in compliance mode. But then the moment her harness is on and she's ready to go, away she goes.
It's like you have to give her permission to move sometimes. But you know, John and Solly, you've seen her. She's quite compliant when she's in, say, like when she might be at camp or a demo, and she's in a situation where she's just not quite sure what's going to happen, but she's perfectly happy, and people mustn't think, oh, that poor dog, she's being compliant. Scarlett's compliant at home. She's got it in her. It's just been drummed in.
Yeah, because we must remember where she's come from. You know, she's come from MBR in USA, which, you know, we get outraged about this place that's got up to 2,000 dogs here. But in the USA, they go up to 22,000 dogs. So it's 10 times the size of MBR acres, 10 times. And see, you just got to imagine Scarlett growing up there. They have these floors with a mesh. They haven't even got solid floors. In these massive sheds with other dogs barking all around them. Then they take in, when she's still a puppy, she's taken into a plane, flow across the world into, what country do you say? Hungary.
Hungary,
yeah, to Hungary, taken into a laboratory. So, you know, she's doing amazingly well, having survived all of that.
Oh, thank you.
Even now, we've had her for 7 years, and over the years, we see more and more of her personality coming through. And even now, she'll do something new that she's never done before, because she still finds her real personality. There was once a time you put her harness on, she would just stay crouched down. You physically had to carry her to the front door for her to walk out. Now, the moment you put the harness on and walk away, she'll stand up and walk to the door. She's confident enough to do that. So we're even
Silly
now,
little things like that.
we're seeing more of her personality still.
So do you want to tell us now a bit how Scarlett is involved in campaigning to end animal experiments and to save his brothers and sisters that are still being bred and kept in laboratories across the world?
Yes, of course. Well, Scarlett, we've actually been involved in campaigning with various groups, and you know, we will always support Beagle Freedom Project, and so Scarlett's actually been campaigning ever since she's been free. But the because Camp Beagle is right outside MBR acres, and you know, the connection to all those dogs that are, you know, bred as MBR dogs. Scarlett is ambassador for camp for that reason, that, you know, it's so close to our hearts that, you know, this is about MBR Beagles, nothing else. It's about MBR Beagles and closing that hellhole. And Scarlett wants to do everything she can, you know, mixing with celebrities and being there at Parliament, and you know, because these are Scarlett's ancestors. You know, this is all part of the big MBR money machine. So Camp Beagle is her focus at the moment. You know, it's all about her brothers and sisters.
And this is
I think it's incredible, because you know, you already put in a lot of effort in rescuing her from the nightmares that she's living, but on top of that, you are offering all this help to the other animals that are still left inside.
And let me add to what Janie said. When we found out, when Shannon Keith came to this country back in November 2022, and I remember asking Shannon about Scarlett's tattoo. And when she said, well, those digits mean she's from Marshall Bar. And then we thought, wait a minute, she's an MBR Beagle. We didn't even know. We just always had in our mind that maybe she was born somewhere in Europe. It was a bit of a grey thing, a fuzzy thing. And then we were told, actually, she's a Marshall Beagle.
Yeah.
So there's a very, very deep connection there for us. And I do passionately believe that that site can be closed for the simple reason that Camp Beagle has fired the imagination of a lots of people, got tens of thousands of supporters. MBR Acres is hemorrhaging money, fighting camp with a court order and all the other expenses they're having to do. That stupid propaganda poster in front of the gates that they have had to replace 5 or 6 times. What a shame it keeps getting vandalized. What a shame. And all the other costs, extra security. That place, they'll eventually think, well, we're out of here. We're just not going to do business here anymore. And when that happens, and I believe it will, for as long as camp is physically there, that will eventually happen sooner rather than later, hopefully. That will send a very powerful shockwave, I believe, throughout the whole vivisection industry in the UK to say, the UK does not welcome you anymore. Vivisectors, clear out, please.
Well, we are absolutely proud and happy to have Scarlett Beagle supporting our campaign because she just speaks in other language, she is the example, she is the survivor. That's how dogs should be.
Yeah.
And that's what we lack here. We lack here, apart from Animal Rising, we don't have any survivors from our campaign.
Yeah.
It's terrible because all these dogs here, like I said, you don't quite know what Scarlett was used for. If she'd have been used for a toxicity test, like nearly all the MBR dogs that are bred at MBR Acres, nearly all of them toxicity tests, they all get killed and get post-mortem afterwards.
Yeah.
Even the ones that have placebo, I think there is a really, obviously we want the experiments to end, but rehoming at least will be like a step towards it. They put down every single dog, the ones that have placebo, they maybe get reused for another one. But they do not come out, and all the dogs that get put down in here because they don't meet the standards at MBR, like we have had on the whistleblower this week, how she's playing that a dog that was the runt of the litter, the small one, not only that one, she talked of other ones also being put down just because they don't meet in they should be rehomed. But they got a really easy killing policy. Never rehoming is like really low on the agenda. They keep no records. It's more done through a word of mouth as any of the workers wants to have a dog.
Yeah, I think
and that's why it's unique.
Yeah, the UK is just absolutely disgusting.
I think it's going to take. I mean, we keep campaigning. We will keep campaigning. We will keep with the petitions because even though a petition, when it gets debated, doesn't result in any change straight away, it's sending the message to the politicians year in, year out. This issue is going to keep coming back and coming back and coming back. They can't ignore it. And all the parties, all the political parties, are bad in this respect. They've all been ignoring this issue for years.
Has Scarlett been to Parliament?
Yes, she's been there.
Yeah.
She's been there. I suspect it's going to be the US that will be the real spearhead of the change because towards the end of 2022, President Biden signed into US law the FDA Modernization Act. So FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, that's the regulatory body in the United States. And by the way, the FDA Modernization Act, Shannon Keith, who's heads up BFP, she did a huge amount of work behind the scenes on that. She played an important part. But anyway, the FDA Modernization Act basically struck off in the US the legal mandate to test new drugs on animals. So the US have recognized that the testing isn't necessary and are allowing corporations and agencies to choose how they test. And they've put a lot of money up front to encourage people to go down the path of non-animal methods, which has to be the way forward. So I suspect the US
Yeah,
will.
and it's not just the USA. Canada also passed legislation to actually do what our petition said. They passed legislation to end toxicology testing on animals by 2035. I think it's long ahead, but gosh. Netherlands also is passed some legislation towards ending it. It's nothing, but it's good. Whether in this country, just Friday, I'm going to publish it tomorrow, actually. On Friday, one of them MPs asked to the government, what are your views on making a roadmap towards ending animal experiment? Just a roadmap, not taking any action. Just have a roadmap towards it. Was the answer? No, we haven't got any plans to do that. We got the 3 R's, and the 3 R's are wonderful. And it's like, hearing, it's not just us animal rights lovers that are telling you, it's scientists, I would say it's even the industry, Unilever has got a good team of non-animal methods working in for them. AstraZeneca made a statement. Charles River is one of the investors in non-animal methods. So even the industry, it's like, where is the government? When are they going to wake up? Sorry, little rant.
Yeah, no. Do you know what I think will happen? Sorry, one of two things. We're going to lag behind because the rest of the world will move on. But when the rest of the world moves on and they cure human cancer, we're going to look stupid, aren't we? We're going to look effing stupid. But I do think there's corruption in this country. Very corrupt.
This country, I have lots of friends, professional colleagues, and acquaintances all across the globe, and more I hear them voice the view that the UK is becoming increasingly corrupt. We have a very unique definition of what corruption means. I think we are known, and we're hopeless. The progress we're making is absolutely hopeless, and the rest of the world, starting with the US, is going to put us to shame by moving forward
on,
with non-animal methods, and we're going to be left behind if we're not careful.
But we will follow the money. There'll be a point when the UK thinks, oh, there's money in this, and it'll be the NAMs, and it'll be jump on board. Sooner the better.
Anyone got any questions? Anybody out there?
I have muted you all, but you can actually unmute yourself. You're very welcome to ask questions.
And I would like to ask them a question. I would be curious, about the story how Scarlett got out of the lab. And actually, I'm from Hungary. I'm living in the Netherlands, but I'm Hungarian.
All right.
Yeah, I find it also exciting that she was coming out of a Hungarian lab.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I heard something that when in toxicology labs, when dogs are used and they have to be available for adoption or something, that there is some rule that the tox lab has to give the dogs up for adoption. I don't know if this is correct. I don't know.
Really? I think it was Beagle Freedom Project obviously did the negotiation, sort of legal stuff, and there was a Hungarian charity as well that were facilitating the rescue. So I'm really pleased to hear that Scarlett was lucky because they did let them out. Which is brilliant. When you wouldn't get that in the UK.
Well, in the US, Beagle Freedom Project, Shannon, they are going from state to state, the state legislators, and getting legislation on a state-by-state basis that states to start that, look, when you finish with these dogs, hand them to us, make it a legal requirement to hand over the survivors, and we will rehome them. No
But it
questions asked.
sounds like parts of Europe are
Yeah.
doing that as well,
Yeah.
because Hungary is,
Mm.
and she's oh, so Scarlett would be able to talk with you then, because she knows Hungarian. Don't
Yeah.
Scarlett!
Yeah, yeah, nice. I'm planning to meeting her.
Oh yes, please.
Yeah, she's coming to camp.
See you.
She's coming to camp.
Yeah,
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 we'll let you know, Janie.
yes, definitely.
Hopefully hopefully you come into Parliament, Timea, on the
Yeah.
19th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you coming to Parliament on the 19th, Janie?
We are, yes. Yeah, we'll be
Oh,
there.
nice.
Yep.
Fantastic.
So
And
Mike
what's
will be there.
happened to Scarlett's brothers and sisters?
Yeah. Well, we haven't kept in touch with all of them. They're all okay. They're all
Are
healthy.
they all in the
They're
UK?
alive. Yes. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
all in the UK. The one that we're closest to is Harry, which is I think Harry's been to camp as well. I think John might remember Harry and Nina.
Yeah.
That's Scarly's brother. Yeah.
Harry and Scarlett, you can tell they're blood siblings. They're so much alike.
They're
They've got
same shape.
same markings. You do suspect they're from the same mother.
Yeah.
Has anybody else got any questions?
Can I just ask? I thought the Westminster were putting something into law that they don't have to use animals anymore. I thought I'd heard that.
Thought heard at Westminster. No, there's no, like I said, when a government minister was asked the other day, even to provide a roadmap, there was no roadmap. They are happy with the current status quo. Our petition is to ban toxicology tests, and we'll be linking up with Will Young's petition, which is to ban all dog experiments. And then, but the reason we go for toxicology is because we're outside MBR, and nearly all of these dogs, actually, that's what they get used for. But we are against all animal experiments. And I don't know if on my lifetime we're going to get all animal experiments banned. But that day is coming, but bloody slow, you know, like, and it's going to, like, there's no one that would dare defend these toxicology tests. They don't bother trying. But when it comes to maybe some Cambridge University professor that wants to use some mice for some DNA, you're going to have debates and investigations. This would be dealt with very simply because there's no one there to defend it. You know what I've just been doing? I thought I was being a bit rude, but when we started, I just finished doing some research. I'm trying to do some research into the Charles River in Scotland. You can become your own detective. You know, paraquat, weed killer. Put in paraquat, the word paraquat, beagles, and tranent. They'll come up. And then I start doing other products like glyphosate, tranent, beagles. It comes up. It's just a machine, you know, and it's all these things called regulatory procedures. 70 years ago, they chose the dog and a mouse, or a dog and a mouse or a rat, but it's become the mouse. And so that's why we campaign is about, it's this industrialization of the industry. It's not science. This stuff is put into filing cabinets. It's not taken seriously within the science world. It's a hidden world. It's a secret world within science. It's a nonsense. So we should be able to get rid of this because there's no one to defend it. How about that?
I guess it's a cog on the machine because they can't keep doing the experiments if they haven't got the breeding side.
Well, the sad thing is the law is written. You know, we mentioned the 3 R's earlier. I hate the 3 R's. But even if the 3 R's were followed in the spirit in which the law has been written, we would start to see more non-animal methods coming in. The trouble is the regulatory unit, the Animals in Science Regulations Unit, the SRU, they keep signing off project licenses to test on animals without even asking the question, could this be done using a non-animal method? So even when you get a non-animal method signed off, people are still choosing to do an animal test. The law as written is actually being broken. It's we've got to change that. Got to change the law.
Yeah. Yeah, the law.
So what is next on the agenda for Scarlett then?
Well, she's going to come to Parliament because it's an important
Okay.
day for Camp
Is
Beagle
she
and
now
Will Young.
is she now fully recovered from her ligaments?
Yeah, she's
doing
good,
it.
Solly.
Excellent.
She's really strong. She still has hydrotherapy at Fitzpatrick's every month. So once a month we go. So she just works out those the muscles around the TPLO. And she's really good. No, she'll be there, and then she'll be on the next sort of spring demo that's warm enough for her, and we'll come and see you again. Yeah, you can always ask us if we're free, and we'll come and join you.
Excellent. We'll be looking forward to see you in February the 19th in Parliament. And everybody here, please come to London outside Parliament. We'll be having
Other beagles will be good.
yeah. Lee's here.
Other dogs.
Lee, are you coming with your beagles?
Hello.
Hello,
Yeah.
Lee.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hi.
Be there, of course.
Fantastic.
Can we see them? Have you got your camera thing? Can we see them? Are they there?
They're upstairs with Mummy,
Oh,
Oh,
and I'm in the kitchen.
All right.
No, they're not
Carly's
down there.
waking up.
Yeah, we
No,
don't
they're
need to see
upstairs.
you.
They're upstairs. You have to wait till the 19th by the looks of it.
Okay.
Unless I shout out
so-
kids, they might come running down.
We go another talk next Sunday also, run by Savita, who is also here with us. She's recently been in India at a conference doing a talk, so she's gonna give us a version of that talk. Do you want to say some words, Savita?
Sure. Just hi, everyone. Sorry, I joined this late, but some great conversations happening, and lovely to meet Scarlett. I hope to see you in person soon. Hi.
Hi there.
Yeah, I'll be at camp next Sunday. I can't remember the time, Solly will tell you, but I am, available for whatever time that we have agreed on. And yeah, there's something about being actually at camp to discuss why we shouldn't be testing, and just empowering, advocates like yourself and Scarlett to, tell people exactly, there's a lot of people who still don't understand. I mean, every time I speak about it to colleagues, friends, they're like, oh, really? I didn't know, my personal hygiene products were tested on animals. I didn't realize this was. Just making sure there's awareness out there. But not only that, actually providing the scientific evidence for why, we should stop. There's so many papers out there today highlighting the same thing. A lot of scientists who are coming forward, and we need people, I like to think people like myself can put it out there for, the common public to understand and really get behind this cause. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm a science communicator.
Fantastic. I didn't know you were coming to camp, but we're delighted to have you here then.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Fantastic.
It comes to the point. I mean, it's institutionalized, isn't it? Animal experiments within society. It did become.
100%.
And now when it gets replaced, it's like a load of pressure, like we're up. And then eventually it becomes inevitable. They can't question it anymore. But I think we're at a point where they can't question it now. Like say the toxicology experiments. Why do we have to wait 5 years? That day, like the government minister said, is now. Do you know what I mean? It's not like we
I-
have to wait for a little bit more NAMs, a little bit more artificial intelligence.
And
That toxicology test should be got rid of today on the science.
I agree. I agree. The time is now. When you look at the results from AI and how it's reducing the kind of preclinical drug discovery pipeline, you know, it was from whatever the time it takes and the money it saves as well. It's incredible. But you can even see when it comes to toxicology, because people can't defend it, you can see big companies kind of changing tactics, saying, oh, we're trying, but that's not good enough. You know, we need to see them not, you know, doing third-party testing in countries where they're still requiring it by law. You know, it's all, you know, if they're still doing it in these countries, they're still selling these products, it means they're still animal testing via other contracting laboratories, as you've mentioned. It's unbelievable. But yeah.
Well, we look forward to hear you next Sunday at whichever time we agree, which I don't remember either, but somewhere around 7.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
6 or 7.
Yeah. The earlier would be great. Yeah.
If anybody's got any questions, whether that's to Janie or to us in Camp Beagle, this is your chance. Otherwise, I'm gonna let
if people have seen the undercover, the footage released by Next Work of the conditions inside MBR. Today being a Sunday, the workers left at 11 a.m. And then, you know, them just pictures of those disgusting shelves. They're dirty already. According to those pictures, it shows that grain, that shit, absolutely ingrained on. The whistleblower talked of, they don't clean those shelves. They wait till they get so caked and dry, they can flake it off. They can scrape it off eventually. Yeah. So onwards and forwards, keep this pressure up. We have a good pressure week last week of all the stuff we put out. Did you see the footage from the drone of the dog with the saggy teeth?
Yeah.
Back in the breeding unit. That was disturbing, wasn't it?
It absolutely horrific. That was brilliant, the way you managed to get a really good shot of that. That was good.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted by Carol and is it Lola? She's looking beautiful there. Another beagle.
Oh,
another rescue beagle.
Oh, I can't see. Where's Lola?
She's called Richard on the screen.
She's not she's not really a rescue beagle.
Scarlett,
She needed
beautiful.
a home, so we've given her one.
Oh, I can see now. Ah.
And Bella is
Oh,
upstairs
look.
Bella
Scarlett.
is on our bed
Oh.
of sleep.
and Gracie's on a bed in front of the fire, which is not lit.
Ah.
This one's a big softie.
Yeah. Just one thing on
Aren't you?
saying about homeopathic medicine and that, and boosters and what have you. The beagle we just lost, Lottie, when she was 11 months old, she had steroid response for meningitis, and we were advised then by Dick White clinics at Newmarket Way
Yeah.
never to have her boosted, and we didn't. Just give her 3 vitamins a day: vitamin E, B, and C.
See, yeah.
And that's all she had, and she reached 13 and a half.
Oh.
Fortunately, just before Christmas or start of December, we think she had a stroke. Because she lost the vision in one eye, and within a
This one's
couple of
big
weeks,
softie,
we had to lose, I'm afraid.
aren't you?
And this is the replacement.
Oh.
5-year-old Lola.
Yeah. So, you know,
Yeah.
if a dog can live 13 and a half years after having a serious illness, without the boosters and that, just on vitamins, daily vitamins, is that a better way?
Yeah, totally agree.
Another beagle there.
Look, Lola. Slowly. It's Lola.
She was asleep. I woke her up. Can you see them on
Well,
there?
let's all just look at Scarlett. Let's all just, oh no. go.
Oh, Scarlett, so pretty.
Oh, she's gone to sleep again.
She's very kissy.
Just looking
Oh,
oh.
I think that's a good night kiss.
I take it Scarlett don't eat garden sausages then.
Oh no.
This one does.
Lola would like to say hello from Wales.
Oh.
No. Oh, Phil's originally from Wales, aren't you, darling?
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, it's looking good.
Okay, everyone, I'm gonna let you all go. Thank you for joining. It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful to see Scarlett and to hear. We've learned a lot from that talk. And let's hope there is many more Scarletts rescue.
Oh, absolutely. It's so rare. And it's just, there should be more coming out. I'm sure we'll get there in the end, but Camp Beagles just does such an
The
amazing
only way on that
job.
note, people, we get kind of, I don't know if the word, I don't want to sound rude, but I'm sick and tired, kind of. It's good that people writing, we need to get the dogs out. Let's get the dogs out. I want to get the dogs out. We've got to be careful what we say, even on this thing here, Zoom thing,
Yeah.
like record it. I've got to be careful what saying my words. But all I do know, the only way it's going to possibly happen if people get together and probably actually talk about it in real somewhere. Come to the camp and have a cup of tea.
Physically, yeah, physically.
You can't do things with total strangers. It's weird enough to meet people one time. We only knew each other on social media. Once upon a time, when we used to do raids, we would all know each other. Now we don't know each other so much. We know each other through the phone. But if it's ever going to happen, this ain't fucking rocket science. It's going to be those people have to kind of come up with some way of meeting beforehand and talking as human beings. Not as there's no point like we all live in
on the
if you're going to do
phone,
it, we're not gonna, it ain't going to be people from Australia that's going to do it. It's going to be people from this country. So
yeah.
that's the only way it's going to bloody happen anyway, rather than people wishing it's going to happen.
Yeah.
John and
Yeah.
Scarlett.
On a slightly different topic, I was going to mention actually that MBR ACAS here, they did used to rehome a very, very small number of dogs a year. But then since Camp Beagle started, they stopped and they said they're not doing it because of Camp Beagle, which is like totally ridiculous. It's like, it'll be the more reason to do it. Have some level of engagement with us. Say you're gonna rescue some of the, let us rescue some of the beagles.
The whistleblower wanted to take home that little dog, Minnie, the little puppy. She offered to take the dog, give it that special care that it needed as a runt, just like there's runts in there now. And do you know what I figured out this week from watching the footage and making the film? Do you know in NBR everything is automated? You talked about Scarlett not being able to drink out of a bowl of water because there are no bowls of water. There's they call it a nipple water dispenser with the ball bearing thing on the end. The whistleblower said constantly gets clogged up with sawdust and stuff. What was going to say? Just put them out.
Lost your thread.
Yeah, the feeding boxes. I've often wondered how the food works, and what it is. It's a metal box like this big. You can see it in all the footage this week. Look for a metal box in the back, and it's always got a hole in it. We've seen this from the first. Got a hole, and you think well, it's not a hole. It's a lip. It's got a lip on it that comes out. So the lip, like there's the box, and I saw a dog this week from watching the footage, and he sniffed. It's from our old footage, but I was watching it again. And he kind of put his head in that hole. And because it's got a lip, that means only one dog at a time can feed off the biscuits within it. Do you know what I mean? So if you're going to leave the dog for 20 hours, it might cut down on some of the fighting. But that's still, if a dog's going to be dominant, it's going to hang around that hole.
Yeah.
And do you know how they feed the, do you know how they feed the very young puppies? Remember, 6 weeks old, they take them away. That's very young. If you wanted to look after your product, I would suggest you fucking wait till 7 or 8 weeks, you bastard. But they kind of would say, we know what we're doing. And we want to weed out the strongest anyway. Do you know what the feeding regime is for those puppies there now? The runt of the litter? If you have a look on the footage, if you look toward the back of the cage, there's a massive bucket. And these dogs should be with their mother's milk. There's a massive bucket of dried food in each of the puppies' thing. So they can eat as much dry biscuit as they want. A 6-week-old puppy, 7-week-old puppy. You have a look on the footage, it's there. You can zoom into it.
Yeah. They are vile, they are greedy, they are corrupt, they are vile. MBR is the vilest industry in the world. Disgusting.
I also watched the videos, and there was also like a mention that there is this sawdust what they use for the puppies, and you also mentioned that there was in Italy a similar dog breeding facility, and they actually went to jail for mistreating the dogs because of this sawdust. So, like,
Not just because of the
how did they achieve that in Italy?
Because in Italy,
It started off. How it started off. People again.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you all because something is going really loud. Kenny, you want to speak again? You'll have to unmute yourself. So it started with a big demonstration at MBR in Italy that was called Green Hills. And during the demonstration, some of the protesters broke into the building and they rescued a number of dogs. Then some of these protesters got arrested and charged of stealing the dogs. So in Italy, they go as law system in which you get charged with something, you are allowed to put charges back to the person that has given you charges. So the protesters, the activists, put charges against MBR for keeping the dogs in bad conditions. In Italy, they were able to use the local animal welfare law to prove that they were breaching welfare standards all the way through it. They were breaching these welfare standards. The problem in this country is that there is an animal welfare bill, but it has got a clause in which it says this bill excludes all animals in research. They cannot be, the animal welfare bill in this country cannot be applied to any animal that is born with a research license over their heads. So those animals in this country are regulated by a different law, the ASPA Act, and that regulation actually is the opposite. It regulates how much pain, how much suffering, how to kill the animals. They got very, very little welfare standards. So all the carrier in this country at this moment, they're doing exactly the same protocol and standards that they were doing in Italy, for which they were prosecuted and taken to prison. And in this country, they carry on doing exactly the same protocol, but it's all legal, all fantastically legal, stamped by the Home Office, and continue to carry on. The sawdust that was used in Italy that killed over 90 dogs, puppies, because they ingested it. What this whistleblower said, that sawdust goes into the drinking mechanism, so it gets blocked. But it's all allowed because they got no welfare standard, law legislation to protect them. If that answers your question.
Yeah, it answered. But I was just like also wondering that, like, a breeder, it is not yet a research stadium. Like you say that there is in UK like a legislation what excludes research dogs, but dogs in MBR, they are not yet in the research stadium.
So every time they said we go the UK, this is what they repeatedly said, you don't live in this country, but the politicians, the industry, they continuously say we got the best standards in the world. the best standard. It's like, no, you haven't. They've been prosecuted in Italy for doing something that is legal in this country. So it cannot be best standards in the world, by no means.
I just add to that, Solly, it's so true. And also, if you were studying, say, a science degree, that's the same falsity that they're throwing at you, that you learn from a very young age. You know, we start a degree here, you know, so from the age of 18. So you start this kind of indoctrination process that this
it feels like
for
that,
the
that
animal.
by repeating the same mantra over and
Yeah.
over, it becomes true. We
Yeah.
got the best standards in the
Yeah.
world. We got the 3 R's in place. We don't want to do this. We really don't want to, but we don't have another alternative. Keep repeating it, and maybe it becomes true. No, actually.
No, it really doesn't. Can I ask a question? So for us here in England, in the UK, what is so the next steps for us? We need to be contacting our MP. Yeah. Is there anything else that we need to be doing at this time?
So, well, making a massive big effort with the MPs, because they are for the debate, they are the key into this. So even if you have an MP that does not support animal experiments, it's even good to go to a surgery. They do, every MP is slightly different, but they should have a surgery once a week. And then some people, you know, you're shy to talk to an MP, but you can show them videos. You can just say, look, this is undercover footage that's come out. I think this is horrific. I'm horrified this is happening in the UK. And it may educate them, or it may, you never know. We've had this in the last talk, you know, with the people in Scotland. You never know what is the little action that you may do that may things to shift a little bit more towards the right direction. So massive effort with MPs, surgeries, writing letters. Ask your friends and family to actually send these letters also. For MPs to receive a large amount of letters about a topic, they have to start thinking, this is a topic of interest. If they only receive 1 or 2 letters, they will read them and they'll have to reply, but they may not wear so much weight. So loads and lots and lots, piles of letters.
Yours was like a measured question, you know, like, okay, we've got the debate. What else do we do? But there's often a big sentiment, and we feel it all the time, like a desperation. And it's good. People are like, what can we do? What can we do? And why say some of the big anti-vivisection organizations in the past became quite diluted, I think, because of it. They went down the cruelty-free products line, and that alone, and it's very user-friendly, and people can feel empowered. Let's stop animal experiments. Let's stop buying products tested on animals. And I'm afraid to tell you that if you were to stop testing on all household products, it wouldn't make hardly any difference to the business of MBR, even though it does toxicology experiments for the industry that produce those household products. Like I'd said, I just put in glyphosate, paraquat. What about all the agrochemicals we use? We cannot boycott. I wish we could. If I thought we could boycott our way, like say going vegan, when eventually has a big boycott influence, we can't boycott animal testing unless you don't take pharmaceuticals and only eat organic food and live top of a mountain and don't use products that the chemical industry produce. So we can't boycott it. I wish we could. And I'm not saying it's great to have campaigns, but if you ever notice, Camp Beagle we hardly ever have a big campaign solely based around cruelty-free products, because it doesn't tackle the massive problem of animal testing. It tackles a little part of it, and a part that people can partake in, which is good, and it makes them feel good, but it doesn't address the massive issue, really. That's my rant.
No.
I think it's been a night of rants. Does anybody got any other rants?
I've got one more because I didn't finish my one properly. So there's no one thing to do. They're clearly it. I wish there was. And if someone ever comes up with the killer blow, and we all say, well, no, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. Yes, we've got to do all those things and more. Keep going. Bang, 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 bang. Can I finish with that? With a good, teaching from my meditation teacher, a man called Goenka. So we've got to be careful. We know we've got to keep working, but he uses this story of like the two men crossing the river in the riverboat, and it's nighttime. They're going along the river, like working hard, taking it in turns. And they wake up in the morning, and they haven't crossed the river. The banks, they're looking over the bank. It's still over there. They've been tied to the river. They've been tied to the bank all night with a rope. So they were doing all the hard work. So just saying we need to keep going is a kind of a slogan. We need to keep going with ever more creative, dynamic kind of. We need to do what's going to work. That's definitely the end of my run.
Jacqueline, you keep coming on mute. Do you want to ask a question?
Put her on. Can you unmute her?
No, I don't think I can.
You can unmute yourself down the bottom thingamajig.
Yeah. Jacqueline Charter, do you want to ask a question? Maybe no. Maybe you just came on mute before.
Listen, thank you. You want to sack it then? Right, any more questions? Oh.
It is.
Oh.
Hello. Sorry,
Hi.
that's me technology. No, it was just to say I'd recently found the great group up in Scotland, East Lothian Uncaged. So the three great women that have started that, and I've become a supporter. So we've been going up to the standing outside and seeing them, like the monkeys and the beagles arriving. So that sort of opens your eyes because you know what's going on, but when you actually see the vans coming in, it's absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, I've done protesting for a lot of years, but nothing, you know, when you could practically touch the animals, it's that. And seeing these guys coming up in these vans, they're heartless, and all the people coming out, all the workers, they're disgusting, and they don't care. I mean, they're going in with children, and one girl was coming in, she had a wee dog in her seat. I thought, you've got your own wee dog and your own kids.
No.
It's like it's separated, you know. It's not like it's like they're their family, but it's okay when they go into these labs. It's like they switch off. I don't know. I can't get my head round it. It's heartbreaking. But we'll just keep going, and I think there's monkeys coming up. We think maybe on Tuesday, so we'll be back up there again. It's just relentless. I didn't think I knew there was lots of animals getting tested. But it's like they're so dispensable. It's like there's vans coming in like before Christmas, and that's them again. So why do they need more? It's like they need a constant supply. Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. But I think the girls were out. A few of them were out leafleting the other day, just to there's new housing estates round about, and they've made up great leaflets just to highlight to the people round about what's actually going on their doorstep.
Fantastic, Scotland. Okay, everyone. We see you next week, Sunday, hopefully at 7.
Look forward to